This is GTV. Did you know that the TurboDuo had first dibs on being the only home video game console that had Mortal Kombat? But the Japanese head office said no, saying they felt fighting games were falling out of favor. Though some speculate that this was a way to say they couldn't afford the rights without losing face. The TurboDuo was a hybrid of the original TurboGrafx 16 and its CD-ROM attachment with a RAM upgrade. The TurboGrafx 16 never really caught on in America and wasn't properly released in Europe. But in Japan, its equivalent, the PC Engine, was a bestseller, even beating out the Famicom in sales for a while. Its popularity allowed NEC, who manufactured the PC Engine, to experiment with different hardware designs and upgrades, the TurboDuo being one of them. The TurboGrafx 16 looked promising after its release in August 1989, but lack of advertising and strong competition from the Genesis and later SNES left the Turbo a non-entity in the 16-bit console wars. Another trouble that faced the TurboGrafx was that the system was a joint venture between NEC and Hudson Soft. NEC made the units, and Hudson Soft provided many of the games and received royalties on each sale. But it led to a tug of war over which company was in charge. In 1992, NEC and Hudson somewhat merged and formed a new company called Turbo Technologies Incorporated, or TTI for short. The new venture was to allow more independence from the two parent companies, and with all new hardware, turn things around. The TurboDuo debuted on October 10th, 1992. A little over a year after its Japanese counterpart, the PC Engine Duo. It cost $299, which was equal to the price of its main competitor, the Sega CD. To offset some of the cost, TTI threw in 6 games to get you started. Gate of Thunder was the main game, and on the same disc, Bonk's Adventure and Bonk's Revenge were added. Bomberman was also on the disc, accessible by entering up, right, down, left 2 at the game selection screen. On top of that, the RPG East Book 1 and 2 was on its own disc, and the non-CD game Ninja Spirit was also in the box. TTI also gave $50 of game coupons at $5 each on future games. Do the math, and that's the same amount of money just in games as the retail price of the TurboDuo. Unlike Sega with the Sega CD, the TurboDuo wasn't an add-on, and CDs were the focus of the company. The upgraded CD software were called Super CD-ROMs, and in Japan they had the slightly cuter name of Super CD-ROM-ROM. If you had the old model TurboGrafx 16, an original, not-so-super CD-ROM, you could buy the Super System card, which gave you the extra RAM needed for these super games. If you played one without it, you'd get a funny message urging you to upgrade. TurboGrafx game cards, called Turbo Chips, were eventually phased out in early 1993. Also in 1993, TTI did something strange in their branding efforts. They took the name Turbo out of everything. The TurboDuo was shortened to just the Duo. Turbo Chips were called Duo Soft cartridges, and despite this, the company retained the name Turbo Technologies. You gotta wonder what they were thinking. Even though the recharged effort to make the Turbo a main player was stronger than any attempt before, the system didn't catch on, and the initial manufacturing order of 20,000 units never sold out. In May 1994, TTI shut down, and the system was no longer officially supported. The TurboDuo did live on though through TurboZone Direct, a company made up of a few TTI employees who offered new, unopened stock games, peripherals, hardware, and repairs via mail and later internet. TurboZone Direct also offered some import games because the TurboDuo Super CD-ROM was not region-locked, even though Turbo Chips were. They also released a few games left unfinished by TTI, such as Godzilla and Bonk 3 on Super CD-ROM. TurboZone Direct ran until 2007, when an eBay vendor named Red Frog bought up the few remaining games that were left after all those years. As for the PC Engine Duo, it received a makeover in 1993 as the PC Engine Duo R, and again in 1994 as the PC Engine Duo RX, with a huge internal memory upgrade for lots and lots of saves, and a 6-button Street Fighter-style controller. There was also another RAM upgrade in the form of the arcade card, designed for ports of Neo Geo fighting games. In Japan, the PC Engine family lived all the way to 1999. It lived even longer than NEC's 32-bit follow-up, the PCFX. Beginning in 2006, many of the games that were chip and CD started to appear on Nintendo's Wii Virtual Console, and later PlayStation Network, giving many gamers a first look at what the Turbo was all about. Today, the TurboDuo is remembered as a quirky system with a passionate fan base and very rare and very expensive games. Magical Chase, Dynastic Hero, Beyond Shadowgate, Cotton, Bonk 3, and well, let's face it, pretty much everything else would fetch several $100s on eBay years ago, and now has crept into the thousands in some cases. So what's your favorite Turbo Chip, CD, or Super CD game? Leave a comment below and let us know. Then give a like and share this video with a Turbo fan you know. Subscribe and click the bell to be alerted first